In a corporation producing different kinds of weapons, there are a lot of employees, but not all of them are productive as their boss would like it, so he decided to cheer everyone up by giving them free energy drink, which turned out to be a new secret development, giving workers increased aggressiveness. The film begins with the typical slacker Desmond, who, as usual, manages to be late for work. His childhood friend Samantha gave him a reminder watch so he wouldn't be late and set an alarm clock. The guy of course tried to go unnoticed by his boss, but when he sat down to do a game instead of doing a report, a call came in from his boss and his super slow secretary went kindly to open the door for him. In the office, they briefly discussed the fact that their company needs to come up with something new, but because of the delay in the KiIIing report, which Desmond is in no way able to finish, they can't get to work. And his boss also hints to him that there's a layoff at the end of this week, so he should work hard. When he returns to his computer, his coworkers tell him that, in another state, severance pay was given out in t-shirts. When Marcus shows up, who will soon be promoted to deputy regional manager, plus his uncle is one of the bosses of the corporation, so he boldly taunts the regular accountants, all of whom have their own problems if they get laid off except the Viagra money.
Viagra's a fortune, oh God!
Lanford is called into his boss's office. Now Desmond will briefly tell us how to survive in Amitech. By the way, the KiIIing report he never started. Step 1. Always have a clipboard with you to create a business look. Step 2 is to have your own language.
Totally get you those CPCs, just draft an RFP and we can reconvene AEOD for some THC.
THC?
If you're going to be attracted, be as useless as possible. Fourth, the higher the floor, the worse the assholes are. For example, they have 5 floors, and Des came to the 4th floor to the salesman, those assholes.
USA! USA! America!
Asterisk step 5. When processing orders, the power is in his hands. His employee demands to finish the order to get the proceeds for a bigger project and pokes fun at Desmond by blowing up cow carcass, but is excused to a strange man. So to speak, Plan 5B accountants have a superpower, losing documents to mess with assholes like this. Des overhears a conversation about a certain formula not being ready and the door is closed. The 6th step in this company is breathing exercises to calm down, but breathing is a little different. Well, here's the 7th. At work, work your job. For example, Des is writing code to create his own game on the phones, and in case of a cutback there was something to do. Des decides to order pizza, but they've added a new call center in their office that monitors employee calls to reduce costs. Next, they get called to a motivational seminar and his childhood friend Samantha asks the guy to finish the report and puts a reminder for him to come see her tomorrow. She doesn't want to be alone with this company. So when the show starts, Des gets a glimpse of Samantha and decides to leave, but notices the new cans of energy drinks being brought in. At home, he was about to start doing a report, but his Super Mario Kart fan friends end up dragging him to play one kart race in the alley, and he wakes up the next morning at his laptop with the report. But how many mistakes are there? When he was late for work as usual, there was no one at the roadblock today, and the man who was with the power energy yesterday was leaving his place of work. Des turned in his papers at the entrance as usual, but didn't notice that the guard didn't care anymore. And when he tried to remain inconspicuous, he himself did not notice that the people around him were already dead. The computer showed 1,900 mistakes in his report and his boss immediately called him in, so he quickly printed out his sheets and went to his boss, who was enjoying the smell of freshly sharpened pencils. And Des noticed a dead employee who had been killed by their boss for mistakes in his report. But when he takes his report, he notices a mistake in his last name, and it turns out he wasn't the only one who went crazy, but the whole department. Des hid at his coworker's office, who was drinking these energy drinks without distraction. But when Des touched a wire and turned off his computer, so a fight ensued between the men and Des accidentally wounded and then killed his coworker. He tries to call the call center to call the police, but that coworker was also killed by an over-aggressive coworker. He decides to take his own advice and use his tablet to get past this living hell. But today's ball game is a little different, and after a silly slog, Des is let go on, but his escape triggers a reminder to go see Samantha. She works quietly and seems normal, but at the first opportunity she gets super aggressive and is going to bang Des because she's been wanting to do that for a long time, twisting his nipples. But Des manages to grab the big book of tranquility and knock her out. He of course apologizes profusely, but she has to be tied up on a cart to escape together. But he meets a mob on the stairs and hides with her in a storeroom, but is attacked by his colleague, who turns out not to have been drinking an energy drink called Zolt, because he is fasting. A conflict arises between the advertising department and the accounting department, in which Des's boss wins the fight with the help of a bottle from which he made a shuriken and cut off his opponent's head. After they leave, the guys look for escape routes, but the stairs are messy, the elevator is broken, and they can't push the girl into the vent. Des gets the genius idea to break the glass and escape through it, but he didn't read the employee manual and didn't know that the security protocol would kick in, causing the building to lock down completely. Now the guys have to go through all this mess to get to the last, 5th floor and get the key to unlock all the doors and windows. They pretend to be angry and end up with the boss's secretary, who our pacifist gets rid of. Next they have to go through the human resources department, which is run by the girls who have already managed to kill their colleague, and there comes Lentforth for his severance pay. But when the girls get angry at him because of the noise, the guys help out with the help of Samantha, who makes the other girls kill their boss who supposedly pissed them all off. But one of the toughest stages is the advertising department, for which they prepared themselves nicely by freeing Samantha to do battle. At first they tried to settle things peacefully, but then they were forced into a fight. Landford decided to have fun and kill colleagues. Samantha was killing everyone left and right. Des probably had his dexterity boosted as a kid, and Murad was killing everyone at random. However, when Des is attacked by a guy who didn't drink Zolt, Murad kills him and realizes what he has done. But that's not the main problem. Samantha got sick, so they moved on, leaving the dead department behind, so to speak. When they arrive at the boss's office, he mocks the losers not ready to open the door for them, but the janitor who came out left it open. In the office, the boss realizes that they didn't drink Zolt and tells them how it got into their office. It was a development for the military, but the first batch failed, and their employee who had just earlier blown a carcass right on Des switched the batch and handed out the old Zolt, which had this side effect in the form of aggression. Des wanted to heal his girlfriend, but the boss lets him know that he can't remove the block on the building with him, which means they can't get out without him. A crowd of angry people come to their office and demand to open the door, but the boss tells them that the door is made of titanium with a thickness of 5 centimeters. But the crowd knows that the walls are made of material that the contractor saved on, so they begin to break into them. Lentworth decided to get his job back and drank Zolt, but when he headed to his own, you see what he got. Eventually a mob burst into their office and Adam got the boss's hand to remove the block from the building and ordered the others to massacre Desmond's company. But he shot a tank of ammo and everyone ended up dead. Samantha became extremely ill, and Adam removed the block from the building and let the wards into the warehouse, while the boys found the doctor who was to blame according to Des. But it turned out to be the other way around because Des was procrastinating writing the report. They couldn't order the missing elements for the Energizer, so they replaced the analog and a side effect popped up. Samantha can be saved. The brain is still dominated by living cells, but for the antidote he will need this element, which is in the thick of the zombified. Murad and Des go to get the antidote and run into the museum for weapons, but their traps don't work, and they run out of weapons. But they end up getting rid of many with machine guns in a cart. The antidote they get as well as a missile from their boss, who has purchased himself an exoskeleton. Des asks Murad to run to Samantha and give this antidote, but there he meets the very same Marcus who should have been promoted. But Murad is angry and without Zolt then gets rid of Marcus and scares the crowd who let him go. Des, meanwhile, tries to escape from his boss, but is helped to detain him by Samantha, with whom they escape, and Des plants a landmine under the boss's leg and the building is completely detonated. And for a happy ending, they kiss and Murad finally